Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're going to get into some of the sneaky ways our minds can, totally mess with us.
Yeah, for sure.
You sent over this awesome YouTube video, 21 Mind Traps.
Uh-huh.
We're going to unpack some of the, I think, most interesting ones.
Yeah, it's really kind of wild how many mental shortcuts our brain takes without us even realizing it.
Totally.
So we'll explore how these mind traps shape, our everyday decisions, everything, like from buying a cup of coffee to judging someone new.
Right, exactly. So get ready to have your mind blown. You might just start seeing yourself and the world a little differently after this.
I hope so.
Okay, so this video, it kicks off with a great example. Cognitive dissonance. Remember that time you spent weeks researching a new phone?
Mm-hmm.
Only to totally convince yourself that the one you already had was perfectly fine after you couldn't get the new model.
Oh, yeah, that's cognitive dissonance in action.
Right.
It's basically our brains hating inconsistency. So you really wanted that new phone, but when you couldn't have it, it created like this mental discomfort.
Right.
To resolve it, you change your belief about your old phone.
Oh, so it's like we're protecting our egos, trying to smooth things over in our heads.
Absolutely. Our brains are like wired to seek consistency. When our actions clash with our beliefs, it creates this tension.
Huh.
Think about it. You believe in, working hard to earn money.
Right.
But you also dream of winning the lottery. Two conflicting desires.
That makes total sense. So it's not just about wanting something you can't have. It's about any conflicting beliefs kind of bumping up against each other.
Right, and this can have real consequences. For example, imagine someone staying in a dead-end job they hate because they've already invested so much time there.
Yeah.
So they might tell themselves, it's not that bad, or things will get better,
Yeah.
They're trying to convince themselves that they made the right choice, even if deep down, they know it's not true.
Whoa. That's heavy. So basically being aware of cognitive dissonance is step one to making better decisions.
Exactly. It helps you challenge your own assumptions and be more honest with yourself about, your motivations.
Okay, so moving from internal struggles to how we perceive the world, ever walk into a room and feel like everyone's staring at you,
Oh, yeah.
judging your every move?
Oh, 100%.
Especially when I'm running late or, have a giant coffee stain on my shirt.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It just feels like a spotlight's on me, highlighting all my awkward moments.
That's the spotlight effect.
That's...
Feeling we're constantly being observed and judged. But the good news is people are far more focused on themselves than they are on you.
So maybe not everyone saw me trip and faceplant in the parking lot this morning.
Probably not. Probably not.
Okay, that is a huge relief.
We tend to, overestimate how much attention others pay to us.
Okay.
It's like we're the main character in our own movie, but everyone else is just an extra.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So next time I have a, trip and spill moment,
Yeah.
I'll try to remember that no one's really paying that much attention.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about something that affects our judgments and decisions every day, often without us realizing it, the anchoring effect.
Okay.
So you're browsing online for a new pair of headphones. You see one model listed for $300.
Okay.
Seems steep,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then right next to it is another model, almost identical, for $500.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Suddenly those $300 headphones don't seem so bad. Like maybe they're a steal.
That's the anchoring effect at work.
Okay.
That $500 price tag, even though you'd never buy it, becomes your anchor,
Right.
making that $300 pair suddenly seem like a bargain.
Oh, wow.
Our brains latch onto the first piece of information we get, even if it's totally irrelevant, and it influences all our following judgments.
So even if that anchor is totally random, it still messes with our perception of what's a good deal. Absolutely. One study had judges roll dice rigged to land on either a 3 or a 9.
Okay.
Then they decided on a prison sentence for a shoplifting case. Those who rolled a 9 gave significantly longer sentences.
Wait, so a random roll of the dice affected a legal decision? That's kind of terrifying.
It shows how subtle yet powerful anchoring can be.
Yeah.
And it's not just judges. Think about sales. That original price crossed out on a tag, total anchor.
Oh, yeah.
Making the sale price seem amazing.
Or those limited time offers.
Yes.
That create that sense of urgency, pushing you to buy before you miss out. Okay, this is eye-opening.
Right. Anchoring is everywhere. Salary negotiations, choosing a restaurant from a menu with crazy expensive options. It's all designed to influence how we perceive value.
So how do we avoid this trap? Should I just close my eyes and point at the menu?
Not quite, not quite. Awareness is key. Know that anchors are everywhere and be skeptical of that first piece of information.
Boy.
Do your research, compare prices. Basically, set your own anchor before making a decision.
Love that. Okay, next up. The halo effect. So it's like when you meet someone super charming and suddenly you think they're also brilliant and trustworthy,
Yes.
even though you know nothing about them.
Exactly. The halo effect is when one positive trait overshadows everything else. It's like a filter on our perception, creating this glowing aura.
So like when you have a crush, everything they do seems amazing.
Precisely. Or think about brand names.
Oh, yeah.
We associate certain brands with quality, even if their products aren't any better than generic ones. That halo of prestige makes us think they must be excellent in every way.
Okay, so it's not just about people. It's about anything that creates like a strong first impression, good or bad.
You got it.
Okay.
First impressions are powerful, and the halo effect can blind us to crucial information. Think about Bernie Madoff, the Wall Street guy. He had a stellar reputation, this halo of success.
Yeah.
And that allowed him to run a giant Ponzi scheme for years.
Wow, that's a serious example. So how do we avoid being fooled by the halo effect? Should I just assume everyone is secretly evil?
Not exactly, not exactly. But being aware of the halo effect is step one.
Okay.
Remember, first impressions are often based on superficial cues. Then gather information from different sources.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on what one person tells you.
So don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. And finally, try to separate the person from their achievements. Just because someone has a fancy car doesn't automatically make them a good person.
Right. They'll try to keep that in mind, especially, next time I'm on a dating app. Okay, one last mind trap before we take a break. The gambler's fallacy. Imagine flipping a coin.
Okay.
It lands on heads 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
What do you bet on for the next flip?
If you're like most people, you'd bet on tails thinking it's due for a change.
Yeah.
That's the gambler's fallacy now.
Even though each flip is a totally separate event,
Right.
we think the past results somehow affect the future.
Right. We crave patterns and try to find them, even in totally random events. Like a basketball player misses several shots and we think, he's got to make the next one.
Or answering C on a test multiple times in a row, making you think the next one can't possibly be C again.
Exactly. And this fallacy has real-world consequences. Think about casinos.
Oh, yeah.
People keep betting, believing a lucky streak is just around the corner.
So basically, we need to remember that each coin flip, each basketball shot, each multiple choice question is independent.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what happened before.
Understanding probability and recognizing the gambler's fallacy can save you a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
And maybe even some money.
All right, well, that was a lot to process. My brain needs a moment to absorb all this. We'll be back soon to unpack even more mind traps from 21 Mind Traps.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. Ready for more mind-bending insights into how our brains can totally play tricks on us?
Oh, absolutely. There's so much more to explore in this this fascinating world of mind traps.
All right, so let's dive right in. So remember how we talked about anchors influencing our perception of value?
Yes.
Well, there's another kind of sneaky way our brains make comparisons that can really mess with our judgment. It's called the contrast effect.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how, a super expensive car accessory seems like a total steal after you've just dropped thousands on the car itself?
Oh, yeah. It's a classic example.
Right.
That pricey accessory seems almost reasonable compared to, the massive cost of the car.
Yeah.
Our judgments are relative, not absolute.
Okay.
That's the contrast effect in action.
So it's like our brains are constantly comparing things, and that throws off our sense of what's actually a good deal.
Exactly. Retailers exploit this all the time. Think about those add-on items at the checkout.
Oh, yeah?
A $10 phone case seems like nothing after you've just bought a $1,000 phone.
Okay, so that's why I always end up with a bag full of stuff I didn't even know I needed.
Right.
I blame the contrast effect.
It's a powerful force, and it's not just about money. Imagine you're house hunting.
Okay.
A real estate agent shows you a few, rundown places first. Then they bring you to a decent but overpriced house.
Yeah.
Suddenly it looks amazing in comparison.
It's like they're setting you up. So how do we avoid this trap? Should we just refuse to look at anything unless it's the absolute best?
Well, it's not about being extreme, but about awareness. Recognize that your perception of something is influenced by what you're comparing it to.
Okay.
Try to evaluate things on their own merits.
Yeah.
Do your research. Know the market value. Don't let those, sneaky comparisons cloud your judgment.
It's making me rethink all my shopping decisions.
I know, right?
Okay, so let's move on to a mind trap that can be even harder to recognize and overcome.
Okay.
Confirmation bias.
Oh, yeah.
It's that tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring evidence that challenges them.
Right. Confirmation bias is incredibly powerful because it taps into our deep-seated need to be right and to maintain like a consistent worldview.
Uh-huh.
It's much easier and more comfortable to stick with what we already believe, even when presented with evidence to the contrary.
So it's like our brains are protecting us from the discomfort of being wrong,
Right.
but that can, lead us down a pretty dangerous path.
Absolutely. Think about political discussions.
Oh, yeah.
People often surround themselves with like-minded individuals and consume news sources that reinforce their existing views.
Right.
They filter out any opposing viewpoints, creating like an echo chamber where their own biases are constantly amplified.
And with social media algorithms feeding us content we already agree with, it's even harder to escape those echo chambers these days.
It's a real challenge. Social media has the power to, connect us with diverse perspectives, but it can also like trap us in filter bubbles where our existing beliefs are constantly reinforced.
So how do we break free from this cycle of confirmation bias? It seems like such a daunting task.
It is, but not impossible.
Okay.
The first step is recognizing that you're susceptible to this bias, just like everyone else.
Right.
Then make a conscious effort to seek out diverse perspectives.
Okay.
Read articles from news sources that you typically disagree with.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts that challenge your worldview.
That sounds challenging, but also incredibly important. It's like we need to train our brains to be more open to new information,
Yeah.
even if it's uncomfortable at first.
Exactly. Embrace intellectual humility.
Okay.
Be willing to admit when you're wrong and to change your mind based on, new evidence. Remember, the goal isn't to be right all the time,
Yeah.
but to be as informed and objective as possible.
I love that. Okay, ready for another mind-boggling phenomenon?
I'm ready?
Ever heard of the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon?
Oh, yes. The illusion of frequency. It's
Yeah.
that strange feeling when you learn a new word or concept and suddenly you start seeing it everywhere.
Oh, all the time. Like, I recently learned about a rare type of car, and now I swear I see it on the road every day.
Right.
It's like the universe is conspiring to make me notice it.
It's not a conspiracy, but rather your brain becoming hyper aware of this new information.
Okay.
Once you've learned something new, you're primed to notice it, filtering out other information that isn't relevant.
So it's not that this thing is suddenly appearing more frequently.
Right.
It's that my brain is just more tuned in to seeing it.
Precisely. It's like your brain is saying, hey, remember that new thing you learned? Look, there it is again.
Yeah.
And this can lead to a false sense of importance or significance.
So it's not just a coincidence that I keep seeing that car everywhere. Is my brain playing tricks on me?
In a way, yes. And it's important to be aware of this tendency so we don't misinterpret these coincidences as, meaningful patterns.
This is making me question everything I see. Okay, here's another weird thing my brain does. Have you ever noticed that it's way easier to remember tasks you haven't finished than those you have?
Mm-hmm.
Like those unfinished to-dos just keep nagging at you.
You're describing the Zeigarnik effect.
Got
It's our mind's tendency to fixate on incomplete tasks. It's like our brains hate loose ends and constantly remind us to tie them up.
So it's like an evolutionary reminder to finish what we started.
There are different theories, but one suggests that our brains prioritize unfinished tasks because they represent open loops that need closure. It's a way of ensuring we don't forget important things that still need attention.
That makes sense. But this constant, mental nagging can be super distracting. Is there any way to quiet that inner voice?
Interestingly, research has shown that simply creating a plan to complete the task can reduce the Zeigarnik effect.
Really?
It's like our brains just need reassurance that we haven't forgotten about it and that there's a strategy in place to address it.
So even if I don't actually do the task right away, just writing it down and making a plan can help.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of control and closure, signaling to your brain that, that this task is being handled.
That's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try that next time my to-do list is stressing me out. Okay, last one for this round. We all love having choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is there such a thing as too much choice?
Absolutely. It's called the paradox of choice.
Okay.
And it describes how having too many options can actually lead to decision paralysis, decreased satisfaction, and even regret.
So even though more choices seem like a good thing,
Right.
they can actually make us less happy.
That's the paradox. Think about choosing a movie on a streaming service.
Oh, yeah.
Scrolling through endless options can be overwhelming. You might
Yes.
spend more time deciding than actually watching something,
Totally.
and then you wonder if you made the right choice.
Oh, I totally relate to that. It's like
Mm.
analysis paralysis. Too many choices, too much pressure to like pick the perfect one.
It's a common experience in our modern world. We're bombarded with choices in every aspect of life. But recognizing the paradox of choice can help us make, more mindful decisions.
So instead of trying to explore every single option, maybe we should set some boundaries and prioritize what's truly
Right.
important.
Exactly. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Simplify your choices, focus on what matters most, and don't get bogged down by the tyranny of too many options.
Amazing. We've uncovered so many fascinating ways our minds can trick us.
I know it's fascinating.
But, there's still more to explore. Ready for the final round of mind traps from 21 Mind Traps.
I'm ready. Bring on the mind-bending insights.
Welcome back for our final round, deep diving into 21 mind traps.
Yeah.
We've already explored some pretty wild ways our brains can trick us.
Yeah, we really have.
But there are still a few more mental quirks to uncover.
Absolutely.
Ready to jump back in?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's talk about something called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that sometimes the people who are like the least competent at something are often the most confident?
Yeah.
Like they have no idea how much they don't know.
It's a classic case of knowing just enough to be dangerous.
Right.
Essentially, people with low competence in a particular area often lack the self-awareness to accurately judge their own, performance.
Okay.
This can lead to overconfidence and some pretty bad decisions.
So it's like they're blind to their own blind spots.
Exactly. And on the flip side, highly competent people sometimes underestimate their abilities.
Oh, really?
They assume everyone else is operating at the same level of understanding, leading to imposter syndrome.
So we've got incompetent people thinking they're experts and experts doubting themselves. Like
Yeah.
everyone's got their wires crossed.
Right.
So how do we avoid this trap?
Mm.
Especially like on the incompetent side?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that person.
Humility is key. Be willing to admit you don't have all the answers and be open to feedback,
Yeah.
even if it's not what you want to hear.
Right.
The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
It's like that saying, the more you know you don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, so on to another mind trap. The sunk cost fallacy.
Okay.
Ever stuck with something, a project, a relationship, that gym membership you never use just because you'd already put so much time, money, or effort into it?
Ah, the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
It's a trap that can keep us stuck in the past.
Well,
We focus on what we've already invested and lose sight of the bigger picture, whether it's still worth it to continue.
so like throwing good money after bad, hoping to somehow make it all worthwhile in the end.
Precisely. Our emotions get tied up in our decision making.
Right.
We're afraid to admit we were wrong, or maybe we're afraid of what people will think.
Yeah.
But sometimes cutting your losses is the smartest move.
It's like giving yourself permission to move on and start fresh.
Right.
Easier said than done, though. Okay, ready for our last mind trap of the day.
Let's do it.
This one is called the availability heuristic, and it has to do with how easily we can recall examples of something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the availability heuristic highlights how easily our brains can be swayed by vivid memories or recent events.
Okay.
If something is easy to recall, we tend to think it's more likely to happen, even if that's not statistically true.
So like if I just saw like a scary news report about a plane crash,
Right.
I might be terrified to fly, even though statistically flying is super safe.
Exactly. Our brains tend to prioritize information that's readily available,
Right.
even if it's not representative of the bigger picture.
So it's not that our memories are wrong.
Right.
It's just that they don't always give us an accurate view of reality.
Yeah.
So how do we make sure we're not letting the availability heuristic lead us astray?
Well, be mindful of the information you're consuming. Question your assumptions. Seek out data and statistics to get a more objective perspective.
Yeah.
Don't let fear or anxiety based on a few isolated incidents dictate your decisions.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We've explored so many ways our minds can play tricks on us.
It really has been fascinating.
But knowing about these mind traps is like, it's empowering.
Oh,
It's like
absolutely.
we've gained this new level of self-awareness.
I agree.
Now, when we encounter these mental shortcuts,
Uh-huh.
we can recognize them and make more conscious, informed choices.
Right.
Exactly. We're not just reacting on autopilot anymore.
Yeah.
We're thinking critically and taking control of our decisions.
Love it.
So to our listeners, I encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning about the incredible power and potential of your own mind.
It's an amazing thing.
Until next time, happy thinking.